let's discuss about atoms and molecules. Everything in our universe is made out of these little spheres, and you know it as an atom. There's a little over 100 of these basic building blocks, these atoms, and you've probably seen this periodic table, and these are over the 100 different atoms. Atoms are made of three smaller particles. We've got protons and neutrons in the center, called the nucleus, and on the outside are electrons. Four atoms are the main building blocks of life. So when you look at this periodic table, we're going to focus on four of these atoms, and that's crucial for life. We have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. You could think of it as CHON. When atoms connect, they'll follow a set of rules. So H, hydrogen, only forms one bond. O, oxygen, forms two bonds. N, nitrogen, forms three bonds. And C for carbon will form four bonds. So what's a chemical bond? These lines in between those atoms. So the C's are the carbons, the H's are the hydrogens, N is nitrogen, O is oxygen, and those lines in between are the bonds. There are two electrons in each bond. And electrons, you can think of them as like arms of those atoms, and they hold on to the neighboring atoms. And a good analogy is like holding hands. It's connecting two different people, just like a bond is connecting two different atoms. But just like with holding hands, you can let go and grab another. An atom can let go of another atom and grab a new one. And of course, the key thing is these chemical bonds aren't permanent. Well, when atoms change partners, when they change who they're bonded with, we call it a chemical reaction. And of course, what just happened? We just made a new molecule. So here's an example of an atom. This is an amino acid that helps to make proteins. And of course, our body has a lot of proteins. You know them as muscles, but there's a lot of other proteins. Example of molecules that's going to follow these bonding rules. The first one we're going to look at is called ammonia. And you notice in the center, we have a nitrogen. The yellow one's a nitrogen. Nitrogen has three bonds. And if we take a look, there's three lines coming off the yellow one, coming off the nitrogen. And if we take a look at the green ones, they all have just one bond attached to it because hydrogen just has one bond. The next molecule is called methane. In the center, we have carbon. And you notice the four lines coming out of the carbon. Those are the four bonds that carbon has. And of course, the green ones are hydrogens, and they only have one bond each. That's why they only have one line. The last one's a water molecule. And of course, oxygen in the center is the blue one, and it has two bonds. And the green ones are the hydrogens, and of course, they got one bond. So you notice these are all following the rules. Now, if we look at each chemical formula, NH3 stands for nitrogen and three of the hydrogens. That three is subscripted, meaning there's three of the H's or three of the hydrogens. The second molecule, methane, we have one carbon and we got four hydrogens. So CH4. The last molecule is water, and H2O. H2 is the two green hydrogens, and the O is oxygen, and there's only one of those. I'm hoping this helps. Thanks for listening.